is a really good way to not just learn, but really understand how someone thinks about the choices in front of them.
I love it. We are always up against the clock here, and I'm going to be reaching out to you off air because there's 1,000 things going on in my head that I think that would be really great ways to promote what you're doing, and I'd like to share that with you and see if I could help with some more of that. But the thing of it is it's real important that couples, and you're right, today's world, they have separate accounts. I'm still have a hard time understanding that, but it is they live kind of like in the same house in two different worlds, and if something happens, then what? So there should be some kind of way to communicate all that information either legally or off the record or something, so this other person involved can have an easier process. I love the fact that you said when there's no stress of the emergency situation, it's a lot easier. And I think that any couples out there that have parents that are in their 60s, maybe even 50s, it's time to have that conversation with them, and it's also time to have the conversation including yourself so that you're more prepared and, allow your children to understand the benefit as well, because we should be teaching them. So you have a book. It's called The Memory. Or did I just lose that page? Your book on your website, I lost it. Please share that with them so that they can get the book and where they can get it.
Sure. It's MemoryBanc. MemoryBanc, and bank is with a C, is your workbook for organizing life. It did make the Amazon bestseller list. It's on most online retailers. You can also get it in your local bookstore. So you can find it in many, many places, as well as you can order it off MemoryBanc.com if you want to get started.
Well, Kay, I really appreciate what you're doing and the fact that that you've taken the time out to share this with everyone. I think it's really an important thing. I think that churches is a great place to start, in community centers or in your local area, but I have a feeling that this is going to grow bigger than you ever imagined because usually when things take place the way this took place, there's a bigger picture to it, and we just have to be patient to get there. So I look forward to talking to you soon.
Oh, thank you so much, Tony. I look forward to talking to you, too.
All right. You have a great day. And, folks, we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to come back with our second guest, a gentleman by the name of Dan Farnow, and talk about his book, The Quest for Marriage. Make sure to go to MemoryBanc, BANC.com. Check out Kay's workbook. Connect with her. You can connect with her on Twitter, Facebook. All the stuff's on her website. Be sure to do that. This is an opportunity for you to take advantage of something that you're not even thinking of that could happen tomorrow. We just never know what tomorrow brings, and it'd be better to be prepared. Once again, Kay, thank you for your time today. We'll be right back after this here short break.
Attention entrepreneurs, it's time to get real. Real about who you are, where you want to be, and what you're willing to do to get there. To make the leap from just getting by to making real money and making a real difference in this world takes a plan and certain skills. If you are serious about building a business that makes a difference in this world, join Michelle Sissom at her Legacy Live event in Houston, Texas, September 10th through the 12th. Learn more at legacyliveevent.com. We will see you there.
Did you know that an estimated 52 million Americans listened to Internet radio in the last month? Or that weekly Internet radio audience has increased 60% over the last year? And that more than 8 in 10 people are online from any location? Tough Talk Radio Network is a company dedicated to providing a platform that allows opportunities for guests, hosts, and sponsors to market themselves to the Internet radio medium where they can be heard by millions. To find out how Tough Talk Radio Network can help you, go to toughtalkradionetwork.com.
Lauren Jono is an elite, international certified, high-performance coach, author, and speaker with over 15 years' experience helping clients transform. so that they are living bolder, happier, and more successful lives. Through a combination of her world-class coaching program and exclusive assessments, her mission is to get to the crux of your issues quickly and accurately, and then guide you to achieve sustained and higher levels of clarity, joy, energy, connection, influence, and overall performance in every area of your life. To learn more or to contact Lauren, go to laurenjono.com.
Okay, welcome back to Tough Talk Christian Radio. My name is Tony Campone. I'm here every Thursday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time here at the Tough Talk Radio Network. And we had great guests the first part of the show, Kay Bransford, and check out her website, MemoryBanc, bank spelled with a C, BANC.com. It's a great workbook that you can get there to help create a better situation down the road. My second guest is a gentleman by the name of Dan Farnow, and I hope I pronounced his name right, but Dan, as I mentioned, is an author who has written the book The Quest for Marriage, which is an offbeat, unorthodox, and humorous guide for Christian men looking to get married and what the journey is like with no subject off limits. Okay, he's a leader at his church, and he assists in the healing ministry and teaching Bible studies. His book has been out for over a year, so let's bring Dan up to the show. Dan, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thanks for taking time out to spend with us today. Now, you've written a book, and I've been waiting to learn about this book, The Quest for Marriage. And it's an offbeat, unorthodox, and humorous guide for Christian men. I like that. Looking to get married.
Yes,
Tell me a little something about the book.
Well, what kind of went through my mind is that all the relationship books I saw out there were by therapists or pastors, and they were always talking about the ideal standards of a courtship and a marriage. And they were always in a women's language, in my opinion. So I decided to write one that was in a guy's language that's simple and to the point, and also talking about just practical obstacles you're going to face in a relationship that's not normally mentioned in other books, such as communicating with the opposite sex, what it's like to meet the father of the woman you're thinking about marrying, and then even just physical boundaries, and even when married, what sex is really like.
You're right. When you're in church, they kind of tell you what you're supposed to do, how that's all supposed to play out. And then as you go along, after you're married, what you're supposed to do, how that's all supposed to play out. But in reality, it's a little bit different. And so this book, what are the kind of responses that you've gotten from people from your church that read it?
Actually, I've gotten great responses. I know I was just talking to a pastor last weekend, and what he thought was so great is that I'm just really transparent, because I actually share my own story, and I share the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the outright embarrassing things I did too. And just showing that, hey, did I get it all right? I sure didn't. And in reality, I've learned nobody does. When we have two people trying to get to know each other that may not be very experienced, they're not going to get it all right. And also, I had a very different experience in church, actually, because the church I used to go to, they were always talking about what not to do, but they didn't talk about things that we should be doing in a relationship. I mean, I understand we want to be abstinent till marriage, and I understand we need to have some kind of physical boundaries, but what should we be doing when we're courting? And I felt like that wasn't really answered well.
Yeah, I'm on Amazon checking out your book, The Quest for Marriage, and people just type in your name. Am I pronouncing your last name right, Farnow?
It's actually Farnow, but close. I get it all the time.
Okay. Farnow. Just type in Dan Farnow and Amazon, and you'll find the book. What I like about it says it covers a variety of practical issues that need to be dealt with in a relationship, including taking the first steps, communicating, with women, absolutely important, meeting potential in-laws. There's a big one, okay, because we never seem to pull that off properly. Searching for the ring, planning a wedding. Most of the time the woman plans the wedding, but there is a part that the man plays that share a little bit about something that you recognize a man should be better at when planning a wedding.
Well, there's actually not much we can do. All I really got to do for the wedding was plan the music or the musical arrangements. Since I was the music buff, I worked at a music store for 5 years, and my wife wasn't into music that much at all. And then I got to decide a little bit about the food. Everything else was her, but as a guy, what you need to do is just go along with what your fiancé is doing, basically act like you're interested, and show that you're paying attention, but ultimately let her decide what she wants.
Right.
That's
and be
really
prepared
how it works.
Be prepared for the quiz, because they always seem to ask you a question a day or a week later that makes them really know whether you were listening or not. So,
basically the wife does put it together, but you at least want to be with her when she's making a lot of these decisions, so then it looks like you're involved, even though you're really not. That's my experience.
Well, and we're taught as men to be leaders, but that doesn't mean that if we're a good leader, that doesn't mean that we're in charge. It just means we're good leaders. And I think that's where a lot of men get a little hung up on being a leader, and I think it could have a little bit of an effect on their marriage. So if you're going through the process, the sooner you start being a good leader, and the definition of being a good leader to me is making sure that your wife has everything that she needs, and one of those things is usually the bullet point of your attention. So, and communication seems to be important. What do you find in today's world that is a little bit different that needs to be corrected? Like, so for instance, myself, I'm 59 years old, so it's a different world altogether. But, as you work in the church, and so I'm sure you're around a lot of youths coming through the church. Do you see a difference? Do you see a bigger need for, you have the quest for marriage, but is there another book coming out that you see that people need to, men especially?
I don't know about a different book per se, but I think just the way we conduct relationships is not the way it used to be. Just even with the media, the way they portray relationships, it's always going by emotions. And emotions, in reality, can be deceiving. And also, just even in our culture, we just try going out with someone if it feels right, but we don't really take the time to think about who we're actually going out with and who we're potentially marrying. For example, I know in our society we do usually try to see if we have a physical connection first and practice premarital sex, but in reality, how we are physically is not a good indicator at all about how we would be in a marriage, such as making financial decisions, making decisions on how to raise children. And actually, couples that are physically active before marriage actually are not as good at communicating with each other as couples who are abstinent. And a big reason is because when dating, the latter couples actually had to take time to communicate with each other.
Yeah, it's so it's a complete different world we live in today. It seems like communication is done more in text messaging than phone calls, and then it's just completely different. I'm really thankful that I'm not a part of that process anymore. You know what I mean? But I do know that with my wife, I do a lot of texting because it's convenient to stay in touch. So, do you think that texting and the way that all takes place today is a help or a hindrance to a relationship?
I think it just really depends. I know even at the office we have something similar where it's an instant messaging. Sometimes it's very useful, But when I find that the conversation is going to start getting crucial,